Hello everyone, I'm Harshit from Lovely Professional University, Padwara, and we are on a series to learn Python. And in today's lecture, we will be learning the concept of functions. Okay, guys. So for the functions part, we will starting from the basics, and we will be covering it all up in this video. This lecture will be going to be long as always. So let's just start. Okay. So before we are starting functions, let me just tell you one little thing that we have written a function in our previous lectures also, and that's our print, guys. Yeah, it's a function. Whenever we are writing a function, it's just the name of the function in this, and it's just the name of the function. Wait, the name of the function, and then there are parentheses. That's how we can actually call a function. So now, what happens when we are calling a function? We are actually executing, and then there is a declaration of the function. So we will be covering that complies in this lecture, but all before that, let me just ask you some little questions from the previous lectures that have you guys actually completed those questions from on list, tuples, sets, dictionaries. I have covered all four data structures. Okay, we know the difference between data structures and data type. That's the major difference we actually have to know. So for now, after that, let's just let me just give you an overview of what function is. Okay, so for functions we will be working with that LEGB rule. Okay, LEGB rule is actually it actually stands for local, inclusive, global, and built-in. These are four types of functions we will be going to work with. Okay, then okay, so we will be covering every topic with the why and not just the how. Okay, so why are we working with that? So let's just start, guys. Okay, so at first, I'll be teaching you the function guys, and then we will be working with it. So at first, let's just see the what's the scope. Okay, guys. There are two two types of variables: local and global. Okay, so let me just tell you what's the difference between the local and the global variable. Yeah. So whenever we are writing a variable, example, okay, whenever we are writing a variable outside our function. It's a global variable, and whenever we are writing it inside a function, it's a local variable, right? Okay, so now let's just start with the local and global variables. So whenever we are starting with our local and global variables, so there are two things. Whenever we are writing a variable inside a function, that's our local variable, and whenever we are writing a function outside a function, whenever we are writing a variable outside the function, that's our global variable. Okay, so now let's just sorry guys. Now let's just go towards our original thing here. But before that original thing, let me just start to teach you that why functions exist. Okay, so imagine we need to greet five different people. So either I can write the print function again and again. Print function is this, guys. Don't be scared now. Don't be scared whenever I'm saying a print function. The print function is actually a print statement. Whenever we are writing this, it's a print function. So if someone says me that Harshan greet five people, okay. So now if I want to greet five different people, either I can write, hey John, then I'll just write, hey, hey Winston, then I'll write okay. Then again I'll write the print statement, then I'll write hey, okay. So then again I'll write print hey. So after that there will be another person, and after that there will be another person. So we are actually either we are repeating one thing multiple times, okay, for different people, but we can do this with our own function, okay, which we will be creating. So this is what repetitive thing is, okay. So a function lets us write the logic once, and we can reuse it every time we want, okay. For the print statement, there is a function that's running behind, and we are just calling that function. So for that, let me just create a function named read. So whenever I have to create a function, whenever I'm creating a function, I'll write its name, then brackets. Inside that brackets, there will be two things. One thing is there inside a function there are two things: parameters and arguments. We will be teaching. I'll be teaching. I'll be teaching that to you again, guys. But before writing a function, we will write def. Okay, this defines a function. Then I'll write the function name, function name. Okay, so I'll write greet, guys. Okay, and after this greet, yeah, def greet. Inside it, I'll be writing a variable which I'll be using, okay, every time now I'll put a semicolon right there, and now I'll just write print a comma 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 zero, zero, okay, and that's full stop. Okay. So this is my function. Okay. Now if I want to execute it, I'll just call this function again and again. It will actually execute it. So if I just now see, that's how indentation actually works. Whenever I'm writing anything inside the indent of the function that shows that this is a part of this function. But as soon as I'm moving out, it will be not considered as part of the function. And now if I'll write three bracket and just write listen. Okay, so I'll just write listen. And then I'll again write the three bracket again. Then I'll write three bracket. Then again again we want. I'll just put Alex. Okay, so now if I'm just running this out, I've got my output guys. So that's how our function actually works. Our function is that so what our function is how we are actually writing a code and we are actually reusing. So what we are doing right here is we have written the logic right here. We have to read, so we have written the logic right here print, and then we are actually calling that function again and again. For that calling part, I have actually told you guys how to call a function. Write the function name parenthesis inside that we give the arguments which we want to give. Okay, so every time I'm writing anything inside this, I'll get an input. Okay, so that's how we are actually doing repetitive tasks using a function. Okay, that's why functions are actually needed. So this function is just a name reusable block of code that actually does something on our command. Now let's just move towards the anatomy of this function. Okay, so what's the anatomy of this function, guys? Anatomy is that at the first point, at the first guys, there is this def. Okay, at this point, if there is this def is actually defining that function. Okay, that's how it's a keyword that says that yeah, I'm defining a function. And after that def, there is this greet. This greet is actually the function's name. Okay. Now after that after that greet after that greet, we people can actually see that there is this name column. Okay, name bracket. So when there is this name, it's actually the parameter of that function which actually shows the input, which actually checks the inputs of the functions that are acceptable or not. Then there are these columns out there. Okay, guys, there are these columns out there. So with these columns out there, these columns are stating that yeah, these are the start of that function, and then these this indented line is actually what this indented line is actually the body. Okay, the code which is going to be run when the function is called. Okay, so after that, whenever this is our main block of code. Then after this block of code, this greet is actually greet Ellison is actually when we are calling the function, okay, and Ellison is actually its argument, okay, guys. So let me just tell you the difference between argument and parameters is the difference between argument and parameter is what we are defining inside the function. Argument is what we are giving to it. Okay. For example, the parameter is that from what bounds of that function actually carrying is, and the argument is that what bounds we are giving to it. Okay? So more simple language, argument is the actual value passed inside the function, and parameters are the defined values. Okay, so now this greet bracket, this greet and bracket, this thing is actually when we are calling this function. So the key rule of defining a function is the key rule of defining a function is that we have to write the keyword def. After that, we will be writing the keyword. We will be writing the name of that function in bracket. We will be giving the parameters. Then after the parameters, colon and then there will be an indent of a line. And after that indent of that line, we will be actually getting ourselves a block of code. We will be writing ourselves a block of code. Then we will end the function. And now, how can we end the function? Just write a return, or just write just get out of that indentation. Okay, then we will be out of that indentation, and then every time we are calling the function, we will actually be working with that function. Okay, so the key rule here is that defining a function doesn't run it. Okay, only calling it runs it. Okay, so now let's just see how can we return some values. I have used the keyword return. So instead of print, we can use a keyword return. Okay, which just displays something. Okay, if we want the function to give back a value, we can actually use it later, or we can use return function. So let's just do the return function thing right here. So let's just create a function which adds two numbers. Okay. So for that, we will be writing our keyword def. I have written my keyword def. Okay. After that def, I'll just write add underscore two underscore. Then there is num. Okay. Add two numbers. And then inside that I'll be giving two parameters. Okay, so my two parameters are a comma b. Okay, after this I'll just write an index block, and then I can just write return bracket, not just return bracket, I can just write return a plus b. Okay, and then I'll be having my output as whenever I'm calling this function, I'll just write, okay, let me just make the function name a little smaller. I'll just write add underscore num, and then I'll just write add underscore num bracket, and then I'll just write any two numbers which I want to add. Okay. And then whenever I'm what's happening here is okay. So I haven't written the print thing. So if I'll just Right. Wait. I'll just write return equal to add num. Okay. And I'll write print. Let's write and write result. So I'll be having my output at 71. So see what happened or what happened before I have written the print statement is that our code got executed, but we didn't actually got it printed out. So that's why we are using a print statement type. Okay, right? So see, there is one more thing we can do is whenever we are writing a function, so then we can actually do the same by taking input from the user. So if I'll just remove this, okay, and now I'll just take two inputs from the user, which are which will be d equals to int input num1, and then there will be another thing. There will be another input which will be I'm just taking random variables you guys can also take int input num2. Okay, so now when I'm calling add nums, I'll just put my variables as d comma f, and I'll get my output as I have to enter my num, so I'll I think num2 is 56 or 55. Okay, let's just put 55. So yeah, we are getting our output right now. When so we have done two things now. Is we have actually created a function. After that function is taken, we have actually entered the values from that function. Okay. After that, we have actually taken two inputs. So let's just understand the anatomy of this block of code right here is. The first thing we have actually done is that we have actually defined this code using the def keyword. After that def keyword, we have given a block of space, and after that block of space, we have actually written the name of the function, which is add underscore nums. Then after that, we have created two brackets. Inside those two brackets, we have written one. We have written two parameters. Okay, that between these two parameters, the function will go. Then after that, there's this column. Okay, after this column, there is an indentation block which shows that yeah, function. Now the function is working. Okay, now the function, everything which will be written here is inside the function. Inside the function, we have given it that to return a plus b. So we this performing the value output. Okay. Now after that we will be now here in these two lines we have taken two inputs from the user. The first line, which is our d variable, we have taken the input of our first number, and then second line we have taken the input of our second number. Okay, and after that we have created a variable result, and then in that variable we have stored we have actually called the function. How are we actually calling the function? We have actually written the name of that function. Then there is parenthesis. After those parentheses right there, we have actually given the variables in which the value stores from which are taken from the user. Okay, so that's how we are actually calling our function. And after calling of our function, we are actually printing it out. How are we printing it out? We are writing the print statement. Inside the print statement, we are writing our result variable so that it's actually showing that yeah, our function is actually now printing. Okay, now see what will happen without a return statement if we will not put a return statement out there, it will actually execute none. So return statement also is a significance that yeah, after without this you will get no output. Okay, but yeah, again one thing, see, when you are putting a return statement, returns it also exits the function immediately. Okay? So if I'll just write return, okay, so my function will be exited immediately. Now let's just take let me just now tell you the difference between parameters and arguments. Okay, so at first we will talking about the parameters. So parameters are the parameters. Okay, so name of the function definition. Okay, then bracket name in definition, name in def, then the name of a function and bracket name. Okay, the name in our function definition, which the the code we are actually done in the first place, the name part in the function definition is actually the parameter, okay? And the name which we have given, which we are passing when we are calling the function is actually the argument. So there are some there are some default parameter values, okay? So every time there is a parameter value, there will be some default parameters which we want if we want to set, we can actually set it, okay? So now let's just create a function which also greets the person, but now the greeting is according to us, that good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anything like that. So now if I just remove this, now let's do the code with me, guys. Okay, let's let's just do the code. Okay. So we have created the def, okay, right here. Now I'll just write greet underscore. Okay, I'll just write just greet right there. Now there is bracket. Now there will be first argument, that name. Then there is another argument, that's greeting. Okay. Now, if I want to create a default argument, that if I'll not put the greeting key, something for the greeting keyword, there must be some output or there must be some input for me. Okay. So without any input, if I want, I'll just write as equals to sign. Then I'll just write hello. And now as I'll just enter the column right here. And now if I'll just write print, okay, print name, or print greeting, comma, minus, group, then there is another comma, and there is this under. Okay. So now if I just run this code, actually, now I'll have to put two arguments because I have given two parameters. But okay, so let's just try two arguments. First one is JSON, and my another argument will be good morning. Yeah, my another argument will be good morning. Okay, now if I just enter it out, see, good morning, nice to see you, Jason. So this our first argument is connected towards the first parameter, which is name. Then there is a second argument which is connected towards second parameter, which is greeting. But see, I have written a default greeting right here. Okay, so if I'll just not give any argument for my second parameter, which is greetings, okay, or I'll just write just greeting. I'll get my output. Hello, nice to see you, Jason. So that's how we can actually assign default parameters. Okay, so these default parameters are helping us when there is an optional there is an optional call in our function, that yeah, it's up to the user if he wants to go with that, if he wants to enter that information or not. Just like we are putting Miss, Mr. and Mrs. Okay, so if the user doesn't put anything, we are not actually forcing it to put any value. See, either it says or either it doesn't. Okay, so now let's just move towards our keyword arguments. Okay, guys, there will be some keyword arguments in our function, that when we are naming our arguments when calling. Okay, so let's just now create a function. Okay, let's just create a function which is describe pet. Okay, so if the name of that pet is, it will be having two parameters, name and animal. Okay, right? So now if I just enter it. Okay. So there is our keyword argument. These keyword arguments are actually helping us to be aware when that what argument is connected to which parameter. So let's just create another function which is actually that name. Okay, we'll just write its name as describe it. Okay, so ESP this underscore. And inside this, I'll just write first parameter as name, second parameter is animal, and in front of that animal, I'll just write a okay, guys. So let me just write a cat. Okay. Now if I'll just print name, okay, okay, name comma is beautiful and okay, guys. Now if I return it, I can actually do now three things. Okay. The first thing which we will do, we will use the default arguments. Okay. So for using that default arguments, now we all know that just call the function pesc underscore pet bracket and then name of my name of my kid is name of my cat is Blake. Okay, so Blake is a beautiful cat. So now we have used the default argument. So let me just put as writer use of default argument. Okay, then I'll just try a simple thing which we all do. One one parameter, one argument, two parameter, second argument. So let's try pet. Then I'll just try photo. Okay, so then I'll just write a comma. And then I'll enter dot. Okay, and I'll just put the hash title use of normal argument with that. I'm writing it as parameter to understand it as parameters, which is right. If I just enter it now, Whoso is a beautiful. Now there is another thing we can do. Now, what if what if I just did one thing? I wrote dog right here because I don't know the sequence. Okay? I wrote the dog right here and I wrote the Whoso right. So my code actually doesn't understand that yeah, name cannot be a dog and Whoso cannot be a breed. Okay? So for that thing, we will be using for that little thing, we will be using keyword arguments. Okay, we can actually name our arguments when we are calling. So for that, I'll just write again. It's very much same. Okay, it's very much similar, guys. Just write it. Now when we are writing it, we will just write our argument name equals to, and we will write it as what can we write? We will write it as no. Okay, and then we will write normal. Okay, equals to this and then cow. Now as I enter it, snow is a beautiful cow. Now what happened here is we have actually given the argument and we actually written the written that particular parameter that which argument belongs to which parameter. So it doesn't confuse the thing. If I'll just write okay, let me just do one more thing. If I'll just write it like this, if I'll just animal as cow and then I'll again write it as snow. Now if I'll enter it, it still says that snow is a beautiful cow irrespective of its order. So we are writing we have taken the example of what keyword argument. Okay, so now what happened here is we have actually written the keyword of that particular argument, which is the parameter name. It's actually given the parameter name of that particular argument, which actually relates to the particular keyword, okay, which actually relates to a particular argument. So this actually helps us a lot when someone is checking our code and saying it's anonymously. So we will just give them this format that page can actually write your arguments in this format so to actually have a precaution from the errors. Okay, guys. Now after this, there is one more thing. Okay, guys. Now after this thing, there is another thing which is multiple and variable arguments. Now there are multiple and variable arguments. So let's just understand what multiple and variable arguments is. Let variable and multiple arguments. It actually collects extra positional arguments into a tuple. We are using a tuple right here. We are not using a dictionary or we are not using a list right here, so that our argument doesn't change with time. Okay? So we will be collecting extra potential arguments of a tuple. So now let's just create a function which actually prints the sum of numbers. Okay, but now let me just do one thing. Okay, guys, every code which I'm writing, please take a screenshot of that or please write it somewhere because it will be helping you guys in the further lectures or practicing. Okay, guys. So now let me just create another function another function of get get I'll just write some none. Okay, it's my now for now for getting multiple arguments, we will be writing our parameter as asterisk sign and then our parameter. My parameter is nums. Okay, then I'll just write it like this, and then I'll write print. Okay, and there is some keyword, and then there is num, not num. We have written num, so we will write it as num. Now, now as I'll get my as I'll call my function. Okay, now if I just enter multiple arguments now, I have written 10, 20, and 30. Okay, right now. So I know its output is 60. Okay. Now as soon as I just do this, I've got 60. From a single parameter, I have given it multiple arguments and I've got so that's how we can actually create multi multiple slash variable arguments. Okay. For that we will be writing the asterisk sign in front of our parameters. Okay. So now after this, let me just do one thing, guys. Let me just now I'll teach you guys scopes as we have learned as I've given you an overview of scopes in the start of this video, global and variable. Yeah, those are our scopes. So now let me just teach you the scopes. Okay. So for that scope, there are two type of variables. Local, and first one is local, another one is global. So now let me just show you as now we know that how our functions are actually created, how they are actually working. Now if I just write num plus x. Okay. Now I have made some changes nums plus x. Okay. Now if I create a variable 100 right here. Okay. So now whenever I'm working with it, so the most useful cycle commonly concatenate couple of int. Right. So if I just try, okay, okay. So let me just create a function which is actually doing nothing. It's actually is printing out the value which I'm giving it. Okay. So let's just write its name as let's just write its name as print. Okay. So if I'm writing its name as print, and get a I'll just have myself an argument. Okay. Or I'll just not give it a parameter. besides that, I'll just write x equals to 10, and then I'll just write print. Okay. So when I'm writing that print statement, and inside the print, I'll just write print x. Okay. And now, as I have written the print x, whenever I'm calling my function print bracket, okay, then you just write the print underscore a. Whenever I'm writing my function print underscore a, and even if I'm not passing any values, I'm getting my answer. Okay. But now if I just write my variable as print x, okay, see, it has given me an error mean x is not defined. So what happened actually here is that this x is actually a okay, wait, this x is actually a local variable. So what this local variable term means is whenever a variable is created inside a function for the use of that function, it's actually known as the local variable. Okay. But whenever a variable is created outside the function, it can actually the local variable cannot be accessed outside the function. Okay. So now let us move towards our global variable. So a global variable is a variable which is created outside a function and it can be called in inside and outside both. Okay. So now as there is this name error in our variable, okay, that x doesn't exist out here. So we have understood one thing from these definitions which I have given you, that variables outside the function are global and can be read but not changed. Okay, inside the inside the functions by default. Okay. Now if I just write a variable, say a variable written as x equals to 100. Okay. And now if I'll print it, okay. Now if I'll print it, print it is 3 equals login, what one is it? Now if I'll print it, I get x. Okay. But as soon as also I'll just make this x also a comment, I can access my global variable. So what's happening here is the priority list goes from local to global. Okay. So at this moment, what I'm doing is that I have created a global variable outside my function. And now I'm calling it inside my function, so it actually gets access. But the moment I'm calling a local variable outside a function, it actually can't. Okay. So now you will be asking me that what if I need to change my I need to change my variable inside global variable inside my function. For that we will be needing the global variable, the global keyword. Okay. So it's used rarely. Usually assigned to restructure the code. Okay. So now if I just write a code that increments every time. Okay. So whenever I'm writing a code that increments, so for that I'll be writing myself uh, count statement count is equal to 0, and then I'll write this as count underscore 2, and I'll just write print count. Okay. So as I run my code, main print is not defined. Okay. Count underscore a. Now if I just enter it, my count is right now 6. Now if you guys will be asking that what if first we want to increment, we want to make the count towards 1. So whenever we want to change our count in here, right, we will actually type, we will actually do the thing known as global space count. Then I'll just write with this global count, I'll just enter count plus equals to 10. Okay. Now if I'll enter my code again, I'll get I'll get the value of my count change. So this is what's happening here. And now this count is not being changed inside the function. It's changed. The value is being changed outside the function too. If I just call my code right here and I'll just write print count, it's actually being modified outside the function also. So that's how this global count actually works. Okay. So see, this is how we are actually working with with those global and local variables. Now let's just move towards my next topic, which is doc string. Okay, documenting our function. Okay, so for documenting our function, we are actually writing the comments in our function. See, this local x equals to 10 local variable. This is what a doc string actually works. It's a pretty simple concept. You guys can actually do it very easily. Now let's just try to put it together. Doc string in our example in our code. So we have actually written it right here, but instead of writing it, I'll just put my doc string right here. Okay, then f code actually increase length the value of count, and then I'll just close my doc string out here. So now if I just make it, okay, it's create an indentation block outside the it's more similar to a hash using for being used for commenting out. Okay, now let's just understand that function that inside a function we can actually call another function. So let's just create two functions. Okay, first function is squares and second function is sum of squares. Okay, for that, what we will be actually doing is, okay, for that we will be writing a function named sum of squares. So I'll just write a function that sum underscore sq. Okay, it's my sum of squares function. Now I'll just write sum of sq is a plus b. Okay, not a plus b, it's a. Now I'll just wait. Before the function, let's just create another function which is square. Okay, so I'll just write def sq and I'll write x. Okay, then I'll write return x with six. Okay, now in this sum square, I'll now I'll now count my sum square. Okay, so for that I'll just write def underscore. Okay, not def underscore this. I'll just write the return statement return. Okay, now it's bracket here. Return sq, which will be our square. Okay, okay, we are calling the function right. Okay, so argument will be inside this, and then this will return sqa plus sqb. Okay, sqb. Now see what's actually happening here is let me just also let me just also print this out. Okay, so when I'm printing this out, I'll just write print. Okay, sum underscore sq. Okay, then comma, then it's 10 comma 45. Okay, now if I just enter it out, I'll get I'll get this number. Okay, so now see what's happening here is these are my arguments which are being passed into this function. Okay, now when I'm working with this function, I have written a value, written a statement, return statement here, which is saying square square bracket a. That means I'm calling this square function. So what's happening is this a value is now being processed in this function. Its result is being stored right here. Then again, this is square bracket b. So this b value is being is being processed from this function and this being stored right here, and then we are getting our output as 2125. Now, instead of that, if I'll just write 100 here, if I just write 10 here, I'll get 200. So that's how we are actually working with the function calling another function. This is what we call, okay, function calls another function. Okay. Now let's just move towards recursion. Now, how we are getting a recursion? Recursion is actually when a function is being called by its own itself. Okay. So so now let's just start the recursion function. Okay. So for that, the first example is the factorial. Because so for the factorials, I'll just write factorial. Okay. It's my function. I'll get one argument as x. Now, for a factorial, if x is equals to 0, there is no factorial, we will be returning 1. Why? Because in factorials, even if the value is 0, we will return 1. Okay. After that, we will just enter, there will be one more concept of factorial. I'll see it guys. If x is equals to 0, return 1. Okay. Now, now we will work with another concept. Now, what's happening in our factorial is that our factorial is being multiplied by the value 1 less by. Okay, so I'll just write x aspect factorial, x aspect factorial right here. Okay, and after this, we will write bracket x minus. Okay. So what's happening here is whenever I'm writing this x minus 1, whatever value of our x is right here, it will be minus and the code will be called again. This factorial x minus 1 is this x minus 1 is now an argument and this x is an parameter. Okay. This factorial is being we are this factorial is calling of the same function which we are inside. So it's called recursion. Now if I'll just write print factorial in bracket 5. Okay. Now if I enter it, I'm supposed to type there must be some right here. Not track and answering the now as I'll just run it, I'll get my output as now I'll get my output as 120. So for this 120, what's happening here is we are actually working with the same concept. Okay, we are using this factorial function which is being called again and again. This is what recursion actually does. So now, sorry guys. So now after this recursion part, let me just teach you another thing. Functions as objects. Okay, functions can be passed around like any values. Okay, they can be passed around like any values. Okay, see, let me just tell you the analogy of that factorial part is what's happening in the backend is the backend part is working with like this. Okay, so see what has happened in the backend is see this is what in the backend has actually happened. So when the factorial is 5, okay, we have given the value factorial 5. So now it's 5 multiplied by factorial 5 minus 1 is 4. Then again the value will be entered it like that. 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by factorial 3. Then dot dot dot. Then at the end it will go to like 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. That's how our factorial concept is actually working. Okay. So it's pretty much easy, guys. Recursion is pretty much easy in Python and any other languages, right? Now after this recursion, we will be working with us. We will be working functions as objects. Okay. So see, if I want a function which creates every string to an uppercase letter or lowercase letter, okay, I'll just write one. Okay, I'll just write one thing right here. Okay, so now let's just create a middle def upper underscore a, and then I'll get my first parameter fixed inside, not print. I'll just get my return text dot upper. Okay, guys. And then after this, I'll just write another for lowercase lower underscore a, lower underscore a. Now I'll again get my this text. Okay. Now let's enter it like this. Return text dot. Okay. Then I'll just write the print statement. Print what will be re a print and then we will just write it as and we just get ourselves one variable which is hello. Okay. The same variable goes inside this one also. It will be hello. Now if I just enter it out, see, okay, I just write this one is small as also. Now see, what's happening here is this argument is being passed into this function which is text.upper. What this text.upper does is it actually creates every lowercase letter as uppercase letter and gives us the output. Same with this lower, okay. So that's how we can actually use our function as an object. Okay, guys. Now there is this lambda function. The lambda function is actually anonymous one line function. Okay, it is used for short throwaway functions, often with sort, map, or filter keywords. Okay, so for that lambda function, I will be teaching you right now. Okay, but before that, guys, let me just tell you something. Please do practice of the function. Okay, it's actually very much hard concept right here. It's a tougher concept. It's a tougher concept right now. So understand it because creating your this will be your base. This will be your basic guide. Okay. So please do the function part as as slowly as you can, guys. So let me just give you an overview of that lambda function. Okay, guys. So for that lambda function, there is this there is something. Okay. So yeah, for that lambda function, we will be using that in we will be using that lambda function with one lines. Okay. So whenever we are writing that swap, so we can actually use that lambda function at one line. Okay. So see, we will be using the lambda function with some particular keywords is sort, map, and filter. Okay, the most used keyword will be map filter. Okay, now there are some you know now these lambda functions will tell the readers and tool that now see what's happening here is there. this lambda function will tell the reader in the tool is that this function is a throwaway function, okay? So Python will not enforce this at runtime, but it helps catch bugs and makes code self-documenting. Okay? So it's a good practice and it's optional, right? It's not mandatory always. But now let me just tell you how can you actually write the lambda function with sort and filter things. Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, so now for our lambda function, see, here we are just doing it like this. Oh, yeah. Now for the lambda function, what has happened here is it's for a square lambda. It's syntax square lambda, then x colon x star x, then it's print square. Okay, so it's this square is itself a function value. Now if I just put all these in the square, okay, and then I run it, it's going to see. So that's how my lambda function is actually being built. Now if I just put this one in the comment and then just put this one right here. Okay. Now see this nums 1, 2, 3, 4, then double, list map lambda x2. So now what's happening here is we will be doing the square of every number which is inside this list. Now if I just enter it, we've got the output of every number which is inside this. Now if I just again enter it, it's evens this filter lambda x percentage by 2 nums. Okay. Now what this filter thing is doing is it's actually filtering every even number. So if I just enter it like this, once is notifying me. Okay. Now if I just enter it, I'll get both even numbers. Okay. So this is how we can actually use the list lambda function, and we can these functions will be used with most of the time with lists, tuples, and dictionaries. Okay. Now let's just move towards my next topic, which is the closures and deportations. Okay, guys, the closures to a function that remembers its enclosing scope. So what's actually happening here is that let me just show you the function, okay, which is just which is nothing just a multiplier. Okay, so multiplier function. So let me just put it right here. But but you guys know before that multiplier thing, please, if you guys are not liking and subscribing the videos, please do it, guys, so that we'll act, it actually encourages me also that yeah, people are watching my videos and people are actually learning something. So for that, if you guys are not, please do that thing. Okay, now let's get back to our topic, guys. So our topic is now the enclosure function. Okay, so now let me just say, okay, now see closure function. So now what's happening inside this function is, okay, now what's happening inside this function is, now it's a make multiplier function, it's def multiply. Okay, so what's happening inside this function is this multiplier remembers factor even after make multiplier is finished running. Okay, what's happening here is if I just control enter it, see this double equals to make multiplier, it's 2. Okay, so now its factor is 2. So it now it has gone into this number thing. Okay, now inside this function it's return number multiplied by factor return multiply. Okay, so see what's happening here is that this little thing, this 5 is being multiplied by 2, then it's multiplied by the factor 2. Okay, so now what's happening here is this multiplier is actually remembering the 5 even after the make multiplier has finished. Okay, and then same goes with the 5 triple one. Okay, now Now, guys, let's just move on towards a quick practice. Okay, a function. Okay, I'll write one function. I'll write two. Okay, I'll write one. You'll write second. I'll write third. You'll write fourth, and then we will be doing that. Okay. Now let's just do a function. Okay, first function will be just finding the even numbers. Okay, if a number is even or not, which is entered by the user. Okay, so let us do guys. Let's just do it. I'll write a function def even. Okay, and then I'll just get myself a parameter right here. Now if I'll write this x percentage by t is equal to 0, then not return else return false. Okay, and then I'll just write the I'll just call the function. Okay, so even a I'll tell you why I have written a right here. Because we will be taking the input from the user. Okay, so to the input. Okay, now I'll just try to print statement. Print eight. Now if I'll just enter it, it will ask me to enter a value. So I will return it. I'll write for false. Okay. Now again I'll write 10. I'll write 10 true. So see, we have written a function that actually checks if a number is whether given or not. Now, what you people will do, you people will find the maximum number. Okay, you will find a function, write a function which is named whatever you want that returns the largest number in a list without using the max function. So do that by your own guys. Okay, so now let's just move towards some more practice problem guys right here. So now when I'm moving towards my more, now let's just write another function. Okay, let me just write another function which actually checks if a function is a word, no, which converts every word into an uppercase letter. Okay, so we would actually do is input. Okay, then we'll just remove the schema which is inside this. Okay, I'll just write return x dot upper. Okay, and I'll enter it. So it will ask you to enter something. So I'll just enter dot. Nothing method upper of SQL object and okay, okay, I haven't put that. Let's put one more thing. Let me just write enter. And now I'll just proceed towards my join. Okay, join. Okay. Now we can actually check if it is upper. So I'll write is upper. Okay. And now if I'll enter join false thing. And we can also do the same with the is lower thing if I want to check if a number is if a word is lower. And if I'll enter join true. So that's how we can actually do the upper and lower thing also. So from this video guys I'll be thinking that you guys got the knowledge of function how functions are actually working, and now in the next lectures we will be working with some problems, and after that we will be doing the oops concept also, and till then guys keep practicing, take care, see you, tata, bye bye, and Guys, please practice with the function part also. Okay, practice with the functions. Go on Google, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever AI you guys are using, and please guys practice with those functions. Okay, because the more practice you guys are doing, the more valuable content we are actually getting to ourselves. So till then, take care. Bye bye. See you guys, and please keep practicing and please like and subscribe the video. Bye bye.